think your leadership there is going to be very critical, not just for Ghana, but I think it's going to be very critical for how Africa takes its place in the global environment in terms of accelerating the pace of its development, but also in terms of regional integration. So I want to highly commend you for that. But also I want to really congratulate you for the way in which, since you've taken office, you have set a very clear tone, very clear direction about where the country needs to go, but also in terms of how the affairs of the country will be managed to both enhance the image of the country, but also the standing of Ghana with the global international financial community. I have reviewed with the Honorable Minister of Finance and also with His Excellency the Vice President. We had a lot of discussions yesterday. I must really commend you for the growth that I'm beginning to see. The economy is going to grow this year at 6.3%, and next year about 7.4%. And the medium-term outlook is really great, about 9.2%. So you've always said you want Ghana back. I think that is what exactly it would be for Ghana to be back. And also one thing that you've also said, sir, is the issue of Ghana without aid. And I think that kind of a growth trajectory is exactly what's needed for a Ghana without aid. I have concluded meetings with the Honorable Minister of Finance just now, and I want to commend you and your government and him as well, in particular, for the efforts on macroeconomic stability that you have launched. The results are quite evident. If you look at the inflation rate has gone down to 12.5%. I think the debt stock has also gone down to about 67% from what you inherited. These are all very great signs of your stewardship in the few months that you've taken over. So that's a very, very good tone. As you know, Mr. President, Ghana and Nigeria have been in marriage of development since 1973. And it's been a really great one because during that time we've made investment here of $3.2 billion. Currently we have investments of $950 million that are in different sectors. And those sectors are infrastructure, energy, agriculture, and private sector. We do quite a lot here in terms of private sector. And these are areas that are very, very great importance to you. And since you're very big on private sector, I thought that I should say that, Mr. President, we are also investing in this government. His Excellency, the Vice President, is from the African Development Bank. The Governor of the Central Bank is from the African Development Bank. And, Mr. President, we have equity stake in the government. And so I just want to assure you that we will provide the maximum amount of support for you and your government to succeed. You put around yourself an excellent team, a first-rate team, and I have every confidence that it will succeed. Some of the investments that we have made, Mr. President, that makes me really quite very pleased in Ghana includes the Fufulwo Solar Road project, for which I want to congratulate you again because it won the African Development Impact Award during the annual meeting of the bank that was held in Ahmedabad, India. It's a great example of how Ghana is showing leadership on regional integration. I think it's a great project. We're very, very pleased with the impact that is having. The other one is very close to your heart, is the issue of agriculture, the Northern Rural Development Project that we have. Mr. President, that project has helped to develop literally almost 4,000 hectares of irrigated land in the north. It's impacted a lot of the communities. We built park houses, warehouses, and I was amazed with how much yield increases have been obtained. If you take maize and soybean, the yields have gone up, sir, by almost 380%, sometimes 400%. So it's a great project that's actually changing the face of rural. And I know that you have with your plant, for food and jobs. I think that's going to be a key component of that. I think that the future prospects looks very good. I want to thank you very, very much for your strong support for the general capital increase of the bank, sir. That's very, very important for us as a bank. Just to give you an assurance of the bank is very strong, solid as ever, more even than before. Last year we had $10.5 billion of approvals, which is the highest in the history of the bank. And we also did $6.5 billion of disbursements, again, the highest in the history of the bank. So the bank is very strong. We're doing quite a lot, but we need more money to be able to do quite a lot. So we are here in Ghana. We've already reviewed different areas. Mr. President, I'm just here to give you that assurance of very strong support from the bank, and I thank you very much, sir, for your welcome.
You come at a time of great expectations in our country. We're here largely because my predecessor and this government did not manage the economy of our country well. Our economy went on a systematic downslide for several years, and it brought in its train the disruptions, the social and economic disruptions that poor management of the economy entails. And ultimately, it led the Ghanaian people to protest as loudly as they could. And the most effective form of protest is at the ballot box to say they want a new direction and a new change in the way matters are managed. Our understanding from the get-go was that we had to put in place a new paradigm, which is about, first of all, obviously, bring some stability to prices and the management of our economy. But more importantly, begin to lay the foundations for the systematic growth of the Ghanaian economy. Because at the end of the day, the problems we have, and the most critical one of them, is the employment of our young people. Youth unemployment is the single biggest problem confronting our country. And I believe it's the same across the continent. It is a time bomb. It has gone off in one or two places already. And the only way we can detonate the bomb is by expanding our economies and creating jobs and creating the conditions for prosperity. So that is the focus which we have. And the analysis that we have made of what has gone here in Ghana is that the measures that are needed to do to strengthen the Ghanaian private sector represents the most obvious way of tackling the problems and creating the growth that we need. And therefore, all the measures that have been taken place since we came in trying to sanitize the fiscal environment and sanitizing our balance of payments and the general management of the economy has been to create the conditions that would allow our private sector to grow and flourish. There's always a time lag between the policies and its impact and the measures. We understand that. But I think that the signals that have been given, and that is why I'm particularly happy about the statement you made, that we have given a clear direction as to where we want to take the country. That has been the intention, to let the country know that we want to move away from the methods of economic management that we inherited, borrowing a large amount of money, not being able to keep control over internal prices, widespread corruption in procurement. All of these are the measures that we want to put aside and go and create this new paradigm that, look, critical aspects of it, for me, the two most critical aspects of it. What we need to get our agriculture working again. Systematically over the last 5-6 years, our agriculture has been in systematic decline, and in the same way, our industrial and manufacturing capability has also seen systematic declines. So what are the measures that we need to take to be able to get growth and development again in these two critical sectors? The measures that have been put in place are targeted exactly at that. You've already spoken about the planting for food and jobs. It's a central feature of our program. So again, is the program of industrial development. The slogans are there, one district, one factory. They're meant to say something about what in fact is intended. But that process of industrial revitalization is equally important for us. We, in doing all of this, there are two important preconditions for us. One, of course, is the supply of power. Its reliability, its affordability, its efficiency. Fortunately for us, we have one of you in charge of our energy sector, a banker, who understands about money and has begun already to work in a very systematic, efficient manner. For some time now, there's been more stability in power output and supply and distribution. There's a lot of work that needs to be done there, because the years of mismanagement, that the investment that is required to be done in that sector was postponed, not done. We still have major problems with our main supplier of electricity, the Electricity Corporation of Ghana. We need to be able to come to grips with it. But above all, once again, you've hit on a point that is of great importance to us, dealing with the debt in the energy sector. The assistance that you can provide for us to be able to rationalize the debt in the energy sector in terms of finding the quickest and most effective way of retiring that debt so we can free up the space for investment in the sector would be of major assistance to us. We are looking for a monetary regime which will allow interest rates in our country to begin to come down. It's a very, very, very key aspect of growth for us. And fortunately, already the measures that are being taken are producing that result. We're beginning to, somewhat slower than some of us would like to see, a gradual reduction of interest rates in the country. So grosso modo, these are the areas, and I think that all the things that you've talked about, the assistance that you can give to financing agriculture, to our infrastructure, are areas in which we welcome the assistance. We welcome the assistance because we believe that underlying your interventions is also a recognition of our basic problem. We believe that a country like ours, like many of our sister countries, have the resources to be able, with proper management, to stand on our own feet. This image of us, cap in hand, going around begging people for aid, for money, is one that some of us find extremely distasteful. And we can do something about it. And we can only do something about it if the real sectors of our economy are given priority in our thinking and in our analysis and the measures that we take to get economic growth going. So this is where we are on the development of our cocoa industries. I think that's a very important step forward. And I'm hoping that this period, when we're in office here and Alassane Ouattara is in office in Abidjan, that we can really cement a very serious set of measures and policies that would allow that cooperation to really come to fruition. The key aspect of it, in my view, would be the establishment of this Africa Cocoa Exchange. I don't understand how there can be, sitting in London and in Frankfurt and in New York, young men who make millions out of cocoa who have never seen a pod. But because they're able to trade in it in those places, I think that we can create the same Ghanaian and Nigerian young men here who are closer to the cocoa. So I think it's something that we have to look at very, very strongly, and we would welcome all the assistance that you can give us in this area. We are in the throes of an IMF program. This December, we will be undertaking the last budget under the IMF program. Theoretically, it's meant to come to an end in April. That is what the terms of the program indicate. But we're clear in our mind that the budget that we're going to make under the terms of the program in November, that budget will require us to adhere to the program until the budget itself, the budgetary cycle itself runs out, which is next year. So, I mean, we're extending it, not extending it. I think that there's a lot of very sterile argument going on about that, which is really unnecessary. We recognize quite clearly the responsibilities that are imposed upon us in adhering to the teachings of the program by the budget that we'll undertake in December. And you have to assure you, others, in the world of finance, and we are going to stick to the teachings of the budget and make sure that the IMF program exits in Ghana on a positive note. But I'm hoping, and this is the statement that I'm making to the people of Ghana, that this is the last time we will go to the IMF in our history. We've been there, I don't know how many times already in this 50, 60 years of our independence. I don't see too much what it has done to help us, frankly. I don't, on these matters. There can be disagreements even there between a president and his vice president. You can have this, but it's okay. I think that we are looking to develop more robust attitude towards the management of our economy that is going to strive and stress more on our own resources, our own analysis, our own prospects for getting the economy of Ghana going.